All presidential nominees since 1976 have released their tax records, except for Donald Trump. The Republican presidential nominee has been evasive, claiming that an ongoing tax audit prevents him from sharing last year's tax return. Over the weekend, the New York Times reported that Trump claimed a more than $900 million loss on his 1995 income tax returns in 3 states, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, that could have allowed him to sidestep paying federal income taxes for nearly 2 decades. To make sense of the latest news, we're joined by Kyle Pomerleau, Director of Federal Projects at the Tax Foundation in Washington, D.C. Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Okay, so let's start off with just assuming that this is all true. $900 million in losses. How does that get Trump out of paying taxes for up to 2 decades?
Yeah, so as Trump likes to say, he is a businessman, and as most businessmen or businesses in general, some years you make a lot in profit, but some years you lose a lot of money. And in the years in which you lose a lot of money, the tax code treats those losses as deductible. So when you have negative income, you can deduct those losses against future taxable income, and that can reduce your tax liability in future years.
Okay, known as carryforwards, true?
Yes, the technical term is the net operating loss carryforward.
Okay, and it's important to distinguish that these are not tax loopholes, right?
Yeah, so of course, loophole is in the eye of the beholder, but these are certainly not loopholes in any sense. This is an ordinary feature of the tax system that's been part of it for many, many years. And the reason we have this is because the U.S. arbitrarily decides that we're going to assess tax over a 365-day period. However, some businesses, their cycle of profit and loss may be 2 years, it may be 6 months. So in order to treat all businesses equally, we have this provision that allows businesses to carry forward their losses to smooth over their income over a number of years.
And it's also devised to kind of discourage evading taxes, isn't it? Kind of ironically.
Yeah, so it allows businesses to, yeah, again, so it's the way it's structured prevents sort of gaming. And I know that, there might be other things going on with people's tax returns, but of course that might just be speculation.
Just how common is this use of these carry forwards? Is this something that's primarily associated with the wealthy?
So this actually has a lot more to do with business taxation, and to the extent that businesses are owned by higher income individuals, yes, it has to deal with higher income taxpayers, but the best way to think about this is a business provision, and it's very common for many, many businesses to lose money in many years and take advantage of net operating loss carryforwards.
Okay, a couple of more questions for you. Drilling down just a little bit, we don't know exactly what's behind the $900 million figure. What do you think could be behind that more than $900 million?
Yeah, so we were only given sort of this front page preview here that shows the nearly $1 billion in losses. We also know that in the early 90s, Trump was having some troubles with his business. It wasn't going very well, but it's very hard to determine exactly what goes into that $900 million. We're just not sure. I think a lot of it at this point is a bit of speculation.
Okay, and lastly, Trump's campaign at this point has issued a statement saying that these documents that were sent to the New York Times were alleged and illegally obtained. You may not be a legal expert, but as far as you know, I mean, can you just speak to whether tax returns in general are private documents, or should they be available to the public? Are they available to the public?
Yeah, so currently these are basically private documents. My tax return, your tax return, others can't go out onto the internet, look them up and see what's on them. So generally, yes, it's private, but I don't really know. Like you said, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know what all the legal implications of this are, but it is the case that a lot of these tax documents are private.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this all continues to develop. Kyle, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Kyle Pomerleau, Director of Federal Projects at the Tax Foundation in Washington, D.C. For TheStreet, I'm Jeannie Yerman in New York.